What's going on, guys? We are back again with another episode of Getting Mad Real. And today we have a very special guest. He is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Madden 20 Club Champion. He is a member of Team TNC. He is newly transplanted down here in the live music capital of the world, coming from Michigan. True. And I want to welcome Mr. Civil. So thank you very much, my friend, for coming on the show.
No, I appreciate you reaching out to me. Whenever someone ever asks me to do something like this, I get excited because it's fun to do. I think these are actually so much fun.
Awesome, bro. I mean, especially you coming down here and just me wanting to get more of a person that's actually competed professionally here. Right. Perspective. I mean, it made a lot of sense, so man. So I appreciate you. On short notice, hit you up this morning, and we're doing this tonight. I mean, I like that.
Absolutely. Well, I finally got my schedules and stuff around. I told you I moved, and I finally got my sleep schedule fixed and how I'm doing with YouTube and whatnot. And I had it where I had all my work done pretty early today. My sleep. I woke up at 3 a.m. today. And I worked all until you hit me up, and I was like, yeah, I can really do it whenever the rest of the day. So yeah, no, it worked out perfect.
Awesome. So I mean that's a great start. For a question maybe is what's going on right now? So you say you're on a schedule now. You got some things going on. Let's kind of start there, and then maybe we'll work backwards a little bit and talk about the competitive stuff and whatnot.
Yeah. So right now I've kind of taken you introduced me as the Madden 20 Buccaneers Club Champion, which is totally correct. That is absolutely how I got my foot in the door in the Madden community. Right now though, I honestly I've taken a big step back from competitive, really focusing on that and. Really focusing on my YouTube channel. That's really the main thing. I recently went full-time in content creation, but really in creating YouTube content it's April. So about 2 months ago, 2.5 months ago now, I've been officially full-time doing it. And so I'm finally it was a harder switch than I thought. I've always been on a pretty strict schedule with school and actual works that have actual schedules that laid out for me. So it was hard adjusting totally to it's just me. So that was definitely hard, along with a move, along with having COVID for a hot minute. So with all that, but this week actually is the past 7 days has been the first time I've been okay, I'm starting to get into a groove. My sleep schedule's fixed. I have an idea of when I want to record, how I want to edit, and just really take care of things. But the biggest thing for me right now I'm focusing on is my YouTube content, without a doubt.
So YouTube content, and do you have a specific? I know everyone's got their niche. I've talked to CC about that, ScoMo about that. Packs, whether it be gameplays,
right?
Whether it be just daily updates like Xerxes does or things like that. So what do you have a niche, or are you trying to just kind of hit every avenue you can?
Yeah, so no, on YouTube, definitely my niche is inside personality-based gameplay. I guess kind of what I would say makes me unique is one, I am very humbly I'm really good at the game compared to most people. I am that's a big thing, and I don't quite have the personality. For example, someone my friend Throne Taylor, his personality carries him. He's amazing personality. Just awesome, and I don't quite have that, so I definitely look at YouTube more from a analytics side almost, and how how a viewer views things. And if you go look at my YouTube channel, you see me creating content that other people really don't replicate and can't replicate. The other day, I threw for 1,000 yards in a head-to-head game, and a couple weeks before that, I came back from down 50 against some random dude. It's just content that you literally can't find anywhere else. And I've seen that style kind of really help grow my channel. And I've been on YouTube for about a year now, just over a year, a week or so. And I think that's been a super big beneficial, just kind of proponent to boosting my YouTube channel to be where it's at right now. I'm not really happy with where it's at right now, but I've definitely seen some promising things with it, especially in the past recent weeks, couple of weeks rather. I've seen some pretty promising things with it that I've been happy with. But yeah.
Word. I mean, believe me, it's a grind. I started doing YouTube daily videos, basically, with my closet computer. This is probably about almost 2 years ago, and then just seeing, and obviously you learn as you go. So I mean, there's different things that you get into or ideas that you come up with. But I mean, as you said, you have some very unique and things that aren't replicated, ideas like that you've been putting out there, videos. Now, do those just kind of come to you? Do you put yourself in those situations?
So I I mean, I definitely have like pretty big like I keep like a notepad, basically like a bunch of different ideas. Like my whole thing is like, what concepts can I get somebody? So like if you're watching one of those big YouTubers, let's say you're watching Throne, for example. He's, I use him because he's a good friend of mine, and he's a big YouTuber. Let's say you're watching him and you see 10 videos on the sidebar. What is a video that I can title and thumbnail to where you see that and you go, oh, I have to watch this before I go to sleep. I've working 5 hours, but I need to watch this video first. So it's like kind of like finding videos like that entice people to want to click it. And honestly, I just keep a notepad of just writing down ideas that are just wild, like just kind of wild ideas that, I told one of my, Madden buddies, I said, like, my next video, I'm gonna throw for 1,000 yards in one game. And he said, that probably isn't possible. And I said, I'm gonna see. And then we did it. And then, so yeah, no, I have like a long list of things. And like I said, like it all comes back to the idea of if somebody had never heard of me and they see this title, would it be enough to be like, what the F? Like, and that's kind of like the idea that I'm kind of going with most of my videos now, for the most part.
Awesome. So I mean, as far as shock value in a sense, is that, as you said, these things come to you kind of sporadically throughout the day, and you keep them down.
Right.
So how long will it, like, say I want to throw for 1,000 yards? So let's say, I mean, is it your first game you try it on?
So that can get weird. That can get really finicky. So sometimes, so that video was awful because I did it to a few people, but after like 850 yards, they would either quit, which is fair. So the way I kept them in the games typically was I just let them score immediately on offense. So like they were never down a lot, right? But typically after you let up 850 yards, you just quit, or you start running like field goal block, and I'm like, well, there goes the video. Like I'm not gonna post this video because who cares? I threw for, what I'm saying. So that one actually took me probably about 8 hours of recording. I'd say it took me a few days. Yeah, I'm trying to think of if that one took me a few days. That one took me a few days actually. That was over 8 hours. I got lucky with my most recent 50-point comeback one. It was actually the first game I got it on. It was actually wildly lucky, whereas I've done that in the past and it took me a lot of games. But like, even if I accomplish one of those challenges and like the video doesn't work out, like, or like the game, I guess, doesn't play out how I want it to play out, then I don't really want to post that game. Like, it's just like, it's not worth it for me, like, to post a game that I know like is bad for one reason. Someone's running goal line the entire second half. Like, no one wants to see that. Like, so like, who cares?
So your videos, I've watched them. I remember, I think it was Slayin who had reposted something of yours a while back.
So I would say all that stuff from back then, that's when I first got started on YouTube about a year ago. And back then was me trying to find my bearings. Come around October, I would say, is when I first started like kind of getting like an understanding of like, one, I understand like how I felt like the power of what like YouTube was. And two, I felt like I kind of understood a little bit more of like what I needed to do to be successful on YouTube. So if you look like go by dates, you can see September my content something, and then I took October off. I just kind of like, I researched as much as I could. I have notebooks in my other room, like just filled with ideas and filled with just like just different concepts and different like what YouTube wants and what viewers want. And then come November, you can kind of see my content start to shift. And then even more so in the past month or so, you can see my literally like the content just keep on shifting to where now I'm literally just posting video after video of just kind of either wild ideas or kind of a weird kind of strategy of formatting gameplay. Like the video I did earlier today, I did 3 games, but I had all those games going on simultaneously. And most people go 1 game, 2nd game, 3rd game. I just like NFL red zoned it, but I just did it of myself, and I was like, no one else is doing it. Let's see if it works. And I have no idea I have no idea. It's been, it came out earlier today. I'll tell you in a week if it worked. But like stuff like that. But like it's a wild thing where someone sees that video too. They go, holy crap, Civil just did it like this. At the very least, I'm not just a random YouTuber to them anymore.
Well, definitely, and I mean, I think that you could. I don't know if you do, but I mean, I think you could probably get a ton of outtakes, because you said it takes you a lot of times you're recording of just, when you go for that 1,000 yards and then you get that 999. You know, and you're sitting there like, wow, wow, wow. I mean, that's because people love that. People love that almost as much. Like me and Cece talked about those. Like, people love to see you fail as much as they love to see you succeed on YouTube.
No, people do. It's no, people definitely like to see that type of stuff too.
Yeah.
I was trying to find like the right balance of like really like what. I'm still like trying to figure out like what do people like really want to see, what makes somebody click off on a video, and what makes people like stay on a video too. And just like really trying to like hone in and figure out like what I can do to just like optimize the hell out of that, because that's just so important to me.
That sounds like a master's report research paper to me that you could, you know, that
It's
you could publish.
That master report paper is called my life at this point. Like that's what that is. And I'm just constantly like that is what I'm working at. Just kind of constantly at this point. But I'm having fun.
You figure it out. You figure out the formula. You put that in a bottle. You slap a label on it, and you sell that bad boy. I tell you that much.
No, sell it to everybody. Make a killing.
There you go. So, I mean, what made you say you made the decision, you know, I guess somewhere in the past 6 months, maybe, that you're going to go full-time YouTube?
Okay, so I made the decision very early on in my life, or like, I guess in the past, like probably when I was in college, I was like, yo, I don't really want to work an actual job. But I'm like, okay, well, one, I don't want to say actual job. I'm 9 to 5, let me say, because that's not fair to me to say an actual job or any creator. But I'm like, okay, well, I can't just quit school and be an idiot, because that probably wouldn't work out very well. So what I did was I did get a real job. I started working at FedEx Freight as a dock worker, basically. And I started moving up the kind of like chain of command there to get into supervision training. They're training me to go into supervision there. So I kind of had like that career as a backup plan. I hated school, but I was going to school full time at the time too. And then that's when I was also grinding Madden competitively at the time, and doing a little bit of work in YouTube for Ace Madden. If you're familiar with if you're familiar with TNC, that's kind of like the YouTube channel behind TNC. I was doing some stuff with them. And then it just got to a point where I was being smart financially. I said, okay, Madden's kind of picking up. I just won a club championship. My Twitch just got partnered. I got partnered very fast on Twitch, thankfully. Very blessed for that. And I'm like, okay, well, let me take a step back. I can't put everything into 3 things at once. I just can't. So let me knock off school. I don't want to go to school. I have an awesome backup career plan, or I have an awesome FedEx Freight job, and I have an awesome thing I'm kind of exploring with YouTube and content. Let's just see what happens. And I got to a point where I was just being, seeing really good progress in what I was doing content wise, and financially I was being responsible. And I'm 20 years old, and I kind of told myself, well, if I fail, I'll be 22, and I guess we'll just see what happens then. And that's kind of what I told myself. And like I said, like I did everything as smart as I possibly could in terms of like being like financially smart, responsible, making sure I wasn't putting myself out to dry. I have backup plans. If this fails, I have really good work references. I have the opportunity to go back to school if I choose to. So like I have like a support system around me where like I didn't just dive headfirst into content and said, oh, sure, this is what I have to do now. That's just like, that's stupid. Like to go like all in. Like I'm a believer in like the all in mentality, but I'm also a believer in like, I'm a super like, I guess I don't want to say realist, because I'm trying to play video games for a living. But I guess like I'm also like, I know like bad things happen in life, I guess is like a better way to say it. Like regardless, like I could do everything right and something bad can happen, and my YouTube career isn't meant to take off until 2 years from now because life decided that, so to have those backup plans, like that was like a huge deal for me. And I've had those, and I still have those for myself. So I guess that's a really long answer for your question. But.
Oh, no, hey, no, definitely. Hey, I think it's great things that people need to hear, because like you said, you can't just, I mean, obviously it's great to put everything you have into something that you believe in and that you're passionate about, but at the same time, you got to take care of yourself. You got to make sure that you're set up. So without that, you can't do anything else. If you're not set up, then you can't.
Yeah, you just have to recognize, like even if it's meant to be, 100% meant to be, right? Like it might take a year longer than you thought it was, and you need to be secure enough so if you have to wait that year, one way or another, you can live. You know what I'm saying? Like you're not starving You know, you just have like, that's just how life is. Sometimes something bad happens. You know what I'm saying? Like totally out of your control. You just can't decide it, you know? So I think you just have to like approach, you know, whatever, like like chase the hell out of your dreams, but also approach it like kind of like smart at the same time, especially like if it's a super like a reach, not a reach, but like a hard dream. Like you have to like super grind it. Like I said, I grinded school full time, competing in Madden full time, and doing the content stuff like full time. Like it was a very large grind. But like I did it to be able to set myself up smartly. So.
And like you said, it's like you can do everything right. And, you know, I can use an analogy there as music. You know, it's because I'm very familiar with music. Right. Especially here in Austin, you're going to hear the best bands in the world that aren't signed. That aren't, you know what I mean? They're better than any people you're going to hear on the radio or people you're going to see live in these big stadiums. The best musicians, pure musicians that put everything out. But you know what? It's just not their time, or that's, you know, there's something that's not working for them.
Right.
So you can be doing everything right, and then, like you said, and still not get that spot. So you have to be smart and have these things so you can take care of yourself.
No, I agree. I 1,000,000% agree on that. I do. You just have to.
So why Austin? So why did you choose Austin as this landing spot?
So, I'm from Michigan, right? I've been in Michigan for the past 20 years, right? I'm 20 years old. I don't really have like I have a little family there. My mom and my dad, who I'm very close to, but like, besides that, I'm not like super honed down there. You know what I'm saying? I have really good friends there, but like nothing like super like tying me down there, right? I had no reason I had to stay. I hate the winter. I wanted to go to somewhere warmer, right? I wanted to go to somewhere that wasn't super expensive. I wanted to go somewhere where no state income tax was a thing. That's awesome. And I wanted to go to kind of like this isn't a college town, but it's also like, it's not a college town per se, because there's more to Austin than just a college, but there's awesome colleges around. You know what I'm saying? It's a young city, which was a big deal for me too. And then also on top of that, one of my good friends, Throne, he's also down here, and he said over the first couple of weeks he really enjoyed it. So I said, I'm 20 years old. If I hate it, I'll just move back to Michigan. Like, okay. Like, that's how I think of it. Like, if I hate it, like in 3 months, I'm just going to move back, and like, oh, well, like, I don't know how else to say it. Like, it's worth the experience of seeing. And if I have to, you know, eat a little bit of money to experience the fact that I don't ever want to move to Texas at 20 years old, like that's worth it to me. I feel like, right?
Definitely. You know, and I work with kids, and I've worked with youth. I actually used to work with the UT football team here in Austin. And it's one thing I always preach is like, you gotta cut those cords at one point in your life. You know, leave, go out, see the world. You know, I've lived in Denver, I've lived in New Mexico, I've lived in Chicago, I've lived in Texas. I've been around, and you have to do those types of things, because like you said, you don't know where your right spot's going to be, where you're meant to be for these things to take off. You know what I mean? So you got to put yourself out there.
Exactly. And like, I recognize that like in 10 years, if I have a kid, I probably won't be able to just move at my own leisure, you know, or, you know, in 5 years, if I have a steady girlfriend or a wife, or, you know, I probably won't just be able to pick up and do whatever I want. So I might as well just do that now. And like I said, if I hate it in Austin, I'm going to say, damn. And I'm just going to move back to Michigan, and it'll be just like that. And I'll say, yeah, it was a good experience, I guess.
You're going to find it hard to hate it in Austin here, I tell you. But it's been,
that's what I've seen so far. Like we were talking before, like I love it here so far. I really, really like it here in Austin so far.
Well, awesome, man. Well, keep it weird, bud. You know, just remember this.
You know, I love that saying. No, it's just been awesome. I'm big fan of it. Big fan so far.
Cool. So, you know, one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on is because of things you alluded to a couple of times is your experience as competing at a pro level. And, you know, a lot of people ask me, you know, and of course I have some questions myself, just, you know, being a Madden player. But, you know, first question I want to say is, what do you think truly separates, you know, someone that can compete at a pro level versus someone that's really good at the game? You know, I'm talking like someone that's 25-0 in weekend league versus someone that can compete. I don't think it's the same beast.
Ooh. So it can get weird. Like a big part of what separates that is like kind of like decision making in some of those big games. A lot of people I've found, especially some of the younger kids you'll see, have issues in some of the bigger games where they, for lack of a better word, like they choke or they panic or they don't know how to handle it correctly, or they do stupid, like they do dumb things. Like they don't do the best stuff. They don't do the things that put themselves in the best position to win always. And that's something that like whether that comes down to maybe starting in the second quarter when you're winning by 3 to start milking the clock down to 2 seconds in the play clock. It's such a it's a thing where like some of the older guys do that type of stuff. Some of the more experienced guys, some of the more veteran type of guys do that stuff. A big thing that I always say, and it's not so much, this isn't so much for like the top tier going into like the super next tier, but like kind of like the middle tier to get into that top tier is like knowing what the meta is and knowing exactly what you want to do to beat the meta in every game. Like for example, a big thing that you'll find online right now is gun bunch tight end, like PA boot over. So you need to, before you load into any game, have an awesome game plan for what you're going to do if somebody's running that against you. And when you play that person, you're probably going to beat them most of the time, because typically the reason it's meta is that it's really good. So if you have a really good game plan against them, you're typically going to do good. And if you have a game plan against everything that you think you might see, you're at an awesome advantage already. And that's kind of more to getting to like that top level of like top 100 of weekend league. That's where you'll see that. Really the main difference between, I think it comes down to a lot of like decision making and getting really good, valuable reps, like really good, valuable practice games. It's one of the advantages I have. We talked about a little bit earlier of being part of the TNC crew, Tenacity, is that I'm surrounded every day by the best Madden players in the world now. Where if I literally can't get better reps. Like you can argue it, but like these are the best Madden players in the world. We have people, we have now belt winners. We have people who have earned 6 figures on the game. We have people who have been around for years. We have people who are brand new. We have people who pass. We have people who can run. You know what I'm saying? Like that value, like the value of that is so huge. It doesn't even need to be the best players, but it needs to be surrounding yourself with people who you can talk to about it. Like, just like in anything in life, like having like a support group around you, like it helps a ton. I think that's a big thing too, where like having a group around you can help elevate you a ton.
So these reps, these games you're talking about, like how, like when you were knee deep, like let's say, I guess Madden 20 would probably be the most you were playing when you're competing. But then, how much Madden were you playing a day? How many games, and what was your schedule like when you're really grinding that out to play at a competitive level like that?
Okay, so to be 1,000% honestly, that example would be good for almost everybody else. It's not like for me, because I was going to school, and during that time I was working about 40 hours a week. So I actually wasn't playing Madden really at all. I only played on Sundays. That's actually what my schedule was during that time.
So you were that good that year that it just took that?
I was really good. I had really good matchups with my opponents during that time. And I got lucky with some of the matchups too, where it just kind of worked out for me. During like that entire club run, I played 7 games, and the only time I got stopped on offense was by halftime. I just ran out of time before half. Like that's the only time I didn't score points on offense. I don't know, I was really comfortable. I was like really good for some reason. And then once again, like the matchups worked out. It just was like a perfect storm of things that worked in my favor. Other times though, I will say like it can become really obsessive, where like it can take up like 8, 10, 12 hours of your day at times. And that's
7
where, like,
days a week.
Some people, yeah. Some people, yeah. And like I would say, yeah, that's happened to me before. Yeah, without a doubt, I can look back and say that's happened to me before. Where like for 3-4 weeks at a time, it was 8, 10, 12 hours a day, just getting the games in, figuring out what works, what doesn't, what do you want to do, what don't you want to do. Not everybody's like that, but there are a lot of dudes who are like that, without a doubt.
And so at that point, so when you said that you'd done that before, so when did you first pick up Madden in general?
Okay, so I played Madden. I played Madden like most kids when you were young, right? Everybody I've ever talked to has played Madden at some point. That's like the cool thing about being like a pro Madden player, is like you talk to any guy at a party and they're like, oh, I used to play Madden. Like that's like the most fun part about it, because like other games like CS:GO or stuff, like what the hell is that? Everyone knows that. But I would say, so I was a really big football junkie in high school. Not so much NFL, but like I really loved football. And after my senior year of high school, I just played Madden. And I found some Facebook groups. And at the time, I was working in high school. I was working a morning job, but I needed to pay for college. And so I started playing in these in money games in these Facebook groups, for like $5 here, $10. I was 16, 17 years old. And then I just kept winning these money games. I just kept on winning. And I joined like a tournament or two, and I would win. And I was like, oh, like, I'm doing pretty good. And then honestly, from there, it was just kind of like networking. Like I would talk to somebody who would know somebody. I'd talk to them a little bit, and then eventually, I just kind of like landed in the circle that later became the crew known as TNC now.
Mm-hmm.
I was one of like the, I guess, like founders of that with, you know, a couple other young guys. And so yeah, no, my senior year of high school is when I first started taking it seriously. That's kind of like story of how like I got into competitive.
Mm. Oh. So with your first actual pro level tournament, you would say would be around, was it 20 or was it?
It would have been 19 actually. It would so Madden 18 I was playing in the Facebook money groups.
Mm-hmm.
Madden 19 I made it to clubs, or I made it to the win to get in. So if I won this game, they were flying me out to San Francisco. If I lost, I was done. And I played Bugs, and I ended up losing. I had a lead in the fourth quarter, end up super choking it and losing. I lost like by a lot. It was actually like wild. And then after that, like I kind of stopped playing Madden because I got my job at FedEx, and I started like focusing on school. I was like, yo, I need to focus on my like studies and like things that, like, I don't want to say Madden didn't matter, but like I need to focus on things and like get things taken care of. And then, you know, I kind of was on like that kind of grind until from probably like after that. So like that would have been like December up until that next September. I was just kind of on like that. I didn't really play Madden a ton. Come the Madden 20 Classic, I had saved up enough money from working different jobs, and I was playing a lot at the beginning of August of Madden 20, and it was coming again where it happened where I was like, yo, I'm actually like really good. Like I was beating some of the guys in TNC who were like the best, like some of the best players in the world at that time. I'm like, yo, I'm pretty good. And so I took a trip down to Dallas for the Madden Classic, and there I matched up with a couple of guys. One of them's a guy named Poison. He's typically 25-0 in weekend league. He's a streamer. Another guy named Mr. Histic. He's a competitive player, and I ended up beating them both. And then I got to play against Dreeny, which, if you know, Dreeny is possibly the best player of all time now. And me and him played, and I ended up beating him. And I actually beat him like in. It was a really good game, but it was like a really good game of Madden, where like there wasn't like any like cheating going on or any like wild fluke. It was just like a really awesome game that I ended up having to win. Where if we play that game back 10 times, there's a good chance he wins 5 of them. I would, like, it was like a really good game. And so I did that, and like people like started like taking notice. Like they're like, holy shit, like I don't know who this kid is, but he's actually like kind of decent at the game. And I ended up losing a few rounds later, but that's when I knew. I was like, yo, I'm actually like kind of good at this. But anyways, like I had to go back to like the real life and going to school and working. But I took like Saturday and Sundays to like play Madden, and come time for clubs, I just ran through the online elimination part of it. I had a game plan against everything I was going to face. I knew I was lucky enough to know what I was facing, and I just played really well against it. And then when we flew out to San Francisco, it was kind of the same thing, where I knew what I was gonna face, and I just played really well against it. And I won that championship, and I immediately, as soon as I won that championship, it had any kind of like clout to my name, I immediately started streaming. Because I saw like the opportunity. I'm like, okay, like I might not ever win a Madden tournament again. Whether or not either I might not be good enough, or I might just fumble. And like, if I'm being honest with you, like I recognize that. So I was like, okay, let me just take this opportunity and start streaming. Let's see where this can go. And then that kind of blossomed into how I became into like what I am, or like what I am now. I'm not really a big thing, but like into where I am now, I guess.
In your whole direction you're going now, as you talk now. So I don't want to hash this up, but I mean, it's something that I'm like curious. I think a lot of people would be curious about, and it's something that as an outsider, someone that, you know, I watched the tournaments, I've watched them from, you know, afar for a while, and I see that like around the time of the Madden Bowl, right before that, the people that don't make it into to the final spot, we see a huge drop off in there. A lot of people are like, well, I'm not playing anymore. I'm done with it. I'm done with it. Is it now? And you just said yourself at the very end of 19 how you lost that one game that you were gonna fly out. How long does that stick with you? And like, you know, for the rest of that,
so
you know,
like it's different. It can definitely like be different. We're like, for some people, I don't know. Like for me, So I lost that game in October of 19, and I didn't play 19 again for that entire year. And it was more so like I just had other things I had to focus on. You know what I'm saying? Like I had to work and I had to do school, and Madden wasn't making me any money like that, so it couldn't be a priority. But it's no different than like if you see somebody like I would compare, oh, I'm stopping Madden, to someone like randomly saying, oh, I'm gonna start going to the gym. They'll go a couple of times, but they're gonna stop going to the gym. Just like, you know, they might play the show for a couple of days, but they're gonna start playing Madden again. You know, it'll trickle in there one day, and then the next day a little bit more, and now they're not going to the gym anymore, and now they're playing Madden. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the best comparison I can give. But I would say it's like that. Like people say it all the time. People are frustrated with it, but Madden's addicting. It's super addicting. I don't know why. I'm not sure how or why, but it's addicting, and
I'll tell you what, from my life experience and from the things that I've seen and gone through, and my experience with people, it hits every receptor that a drug addiction hits. I mean, it is literally at that level. I mean, there's some people obviously that can take drugs and not be all messed up. You know what I mean?
Right.
But there's some people that are on the streets and homeless because they can't control it. And so you're talking about people that are dumping thousands and thousands of dollars into this game for this, you know, because it's addicting, you know, and it's not,
right.
It's not
no,
because
and like, so competitively, what people do is they dump $1,000 into the game with the hopes of trying to be that top one eventually. And that's like where a lot of competitive players get addicted to. Because a lot of times, most competitive players, you know, there's multiple tournaments throughout the year. Typically, everyone has like this one tournament where they're one game away from playing so-and-so for this chance at a lot of money, and they only lost this game because the receiver didn't catch a ball, or they accidentally called this play instead of, or they actually, you know, they fumble, you know what I'm saying? So most people, what happens is a lot of people like remember that and they're like, oh, I was so close. It's like gambling. It's like, yeah, I just won $25 off a lottery. I might just go play a lottery a couple more times, when you're never gonna win that $25 again, you know. And that's kind of how it is. Like everyone has that like little memory of like, oh, I was so close. Like the reason I even kept on playing Madden was because I told myself, I was like, yo, I was up 3 against Boogs in the fourth quarter. Now, mind you, if we play that game 10 times back, Boogs probably blows me out every single time. Like, to be honest with you. But and it just ended up.
It just takes once, though.
Right. No, it does. But it ended up working out for me where I was able to actually like get fairly good at the game, and the matchups went in my favor. Come clubs time, and the ball rolled in my favor come clubs time, because in every tournament, any tournament winner ever has gotten lucky throughout it, because you just can't not get lucky. Hell, if you don't get unlucky, you got lucky. To be honest with you, it's like that's how it is. That really is how it is. So like I don't know, like it's just crazy addicting. I know that's the problem with esports as a whole, though. That's not just a Madden thing. I have some friends in some other spaces where like it's a thing in there too, where like you'll see these Valorant streamers streaming 12 hours a day. They're not doing the life things they should be doing, and it's a problem in esports. It's not a Madden problem. I think that's important to recognize. It's an esport issue.
Well, I mean, you can see a lot of the same people are doing gambling, and you know what's it, Fantasy Kings and Draft Kings and all this. It's the same type of stuff. It's just the competitive nature, and you know, with money on the line, it adds that extra.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Adds that extra.
A little something. No, I agree.
You know,
I definitely agree.
So you won the Madden Club Championship, you know, for Tampa Bay. So right. What is that like? What is the experience like for someone? You know, you win, you get. What'd you get? Like, I mean, you don't have to tell me if you don't ship dollars amount, but like other stuff.
Right.
Like, what were the fringe benefits of that?
So this is a big deal to other people. I don't know if this is interest of you. It wasn't to me. So I got a signed. One of the things was a signed Chris Godwin ball. That was I've never had anything signed before, and I didn't know. I was just like, okay. But to some people, it was like so they handed it to me, and I immediately put my hand on the signature, which which like a lot of people got mad at me for. I'm like, okay, sure.
I'm gripping the football, man. Come on.
I was literally grabbing it by the laces. I'm like, oh, this is awesome, cool.
I'm about to throw a dot. Over here.
Yeah, I'm just holding a football, dude. And people are like, hey. I'm like, oh, okay. Like he's a Pro Bowl wide receiver, and I'm okay, sure. Whatever. I won $5,000 from that specifically through clubs as a whole. The next round, I won $10,000 as a whole, which for a 19-year-old kid who, like I said, I was working my ass off every single day, and I paid for college out of pocket, mind you. I that was a lot of money. That was
Exactly.
a lot of money. So it was a big deal. It was a really, really big deal. Plus, I saw that as kind of like my opportunity. I was like, okay, like I've been working really hard for the past year, like just working hard, dude. And like, okay, here's like a little like shot at if I can turn this into something. Here we go. Because if I had missed the opportunity, my stream would have never taken off. If my stream would have never taken off, I would have never wanted to start YouTube. And if I would have never started YouTube, I wouldn't be doing. I wouldn't be in Austin, Texas, doing what I do now. So honestly, like that club championship win is why I'm doing everything I'm doing now. Now I'd still be, I'm confident I'd be, happy doing whatever I do. Something else would have happened, but nonetheless, like that sparked everything that's happened to this point. My Twitch, my YouTube, everything. It was awesome too because a lot of people who, it is cool to see people like earn your respect. The way I played the game too was Madden 20 was a super pass heavy game, or rather, I'm sorry, a super run heavy game. Nasty streaks were in the game where like it was just insane to stop the run. And I passed the ball every play and I stopped somebody who used nasty streaks. So I earned like a lot of respect of like people who I had like watched before, a lot of people like DM'd me and like reach out to me and my phone was blowing up and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were reach out to me. They were actually awesome. That's why to this day, I'm not a Buccaneers fan. But I love the Buccaneers because they were so cool to me and they're so cool to my mom as well. They gave like my mom a bunch of stuff. They took both of us to a game actually. So that they're phenomenal. Mind you, the game was in Detroit. I'm from Michigan, but nonetheless, they gave us tickets and like seats. They didn't fly us out, unfortunately, but maybe they would have. I don't know. But no, still like they were just awesome. So I'll forever be like grateful to the Buccaneers just because they're just I think they're an awesome organization ever since then. It was just surreal because like you felt like I felt like I was like, oh my god, like I'm on top of the world right now. I had like friends who watched me on or not on ESPN. It was later broadcast on ESPN, but like on Twitch, in front of thousands of people like from back home, and it was like they're like, oh my god, like Kenny, like this is you. And I'm from like a pretty small town, so like a lot of I ended up finding out later that there was like a decent amount of like watch parties of like my old like friends back home and like my football team, like cause I was only 2 years removed from high school, right? And I played football. I was a varsity captain, and a small school. I was pretty close to a lot of the administration, like my football coach, and like they had like a watch party and stuff like that for me. So it was cool. It was really, really cool. It was awesome. It was definitely an awesome feeling. It really was.
That's amazing, man. That's great that you had so many people that got to share it with you. Like you said,
No, I know it was
your whole town.
That part of it was like really, really cool. Like that part of it, or two, like or like local newspaper, like they ended up like doing something in the paper, but they posted like on Facebook, and I just seeing like people share it. People I'd never even heard of share it, and like people commenting like, "Way to go, Kenny," and like who I never even like met them, and it was just like people like like people like from like the town who were like just thought it was cool that someone from like the town did it. Like I don't know. It was really, really cool.
Oh, yeah. It sounds like it. I mean, you can only imagine as other people to see that, someone that's got that spotlight and be able to share that. You said your mom was a part. So what are your parents? I mean, you said your mom, they were really, the Tampa Bay was really cool to your mom as well. So what were your parents, like when you told them, oh yeah, I'm going to play on this video game championship thing on Twitch? Like, I mean, how involved in the process were they up to the point where you're actually, in the championship game where you just like told them at the last minute? Or?
So I mean, like they were pretty uninvolved. The only things I would really involve them with when it came to Madden was like they knew I played it for money a little bit. They knew I'd kind of gotten away from it, which I had. They knew I used it like to pay for college a little bit, but it wasn't until like, excuse me, it wasn't until I'd won. So when I won the trip to San Francisco to play for the championship, I'd won $2,500. Like I already secured, or $1,500. I already secured $1,500, which once again for a 19-year-old, $1,500 is a lot of money. So I called my mom like, hey, and mind you, I never traveled growing up, so I'd only been to Dallas, which I funded myself to go to for a Madden tournament, and now I was getting flown out by a Fortune 500 company, all expenses paid, to go play in front of thousands of people for a lot of money. And I just called my mom like, hey, I just won $1,500, and they're like, these people are flying me out to San Francisco to play for a lot more money, and like they're ecstatic. They're like super happy.
Awesome.
Yeah, no, they were super, super happy. They weren't super involved in like the day to day of it at all, because like I was up in college, you know, but they were just beyond supportive. Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's awesome. So, I mean, so you say you step away. You know, you kind of as we kind of fast forward back to the future now. You're kind of in your grind now in Austin. You're got a schedule. You say you're keeping now. He's kind of pushing out this YouTube content with all of your ideas you have now. So is that pretty much where you see yourself going forward as far as the content creation? Is it just making these YouTube videos? You said earlier you did Twitch. Do you still do Twitch?
So I don't stream on Twitch anymore. I do stream on YouTube a little bit. I made the switch about 3 months ago. So like I guess like that kind of like that. So yeah, so I see my future for the next couple of years on YouTube. I think like YouTube, like the YouTube is so powerful in what it can do for you in just so many different facets, and the amount of like the amount of reach you can have on YouTube is just literally insane. And the biggest thing is like in Madden, you can be the better player and you can lose, right? You've played games where you've been the better player and you've fumbled and you just lost the game, and it's like, what the hell? I'm a very big believer that on YouTube, in 2 years from now, the best YouTuber is gonna be, if I'm the best Madden YouTuber, right, for the next 2 years, in 2 years I'll be recognized. My views will show that. You know, they just can't. YouTube, it's too smart to, if people are watching my videos longer than they're watching your videos, or they're watching, let's say, you know, people are watching your videos longer than they're watching my videos. We both post a 10-minute video. YouTube's gonna promote your video more. YouTube's a business. So there's not fluke in that stuff. At least once it starts, you know, over a longer span, there's just not. And I'm a big believer in that. So, and I'm a super competitive person to where I trust myself to be the best at something, and I want to be the best at something that can't get taken from me because my quarterback fumbles, or you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
That's kind of like a misconception a lot of people have, is like they'll tell me like, Kenny, you're not competitive. I'm like, what are you talking about? They go like, you don't really care about competitive Madden anymore. And I'm just like, that's not really like, I disagree with that notion a lot. Like, I think like if you're like, in my mind, if you're a truly competitive person, you want to play something that gives you the full reign, where if you are the better person, you will win. If you're worse, you will lose. Madden doesn't always give you that, unfortunately. That's not where the state of Madden is, or ever can. It just can't be. Football doesn't give you that.
It's
real life,
real life don't give you that. Yeah, real life don't give you that.
Yeah, you can be the best. You know, you can be the better team, and your quarterback and center can really muff the snap, or you know what I'm saying. There's so many things. You know, the punter can muff the snap, or Michigan versus Michigan State in 2012 or whatever. Like that stuff happens. Like you know what I'm saying. Like Michigan was a better team, and the punter just muffed the snap, and you guys lost because of the punter. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, anyways, so, and that's kind of how I see it. We're like, and that's kind of where I see it. We're like, if I put all my effort, and I've seen the growth that I've had while I wasn't full time, and I've kind of gotten a better understanding of things, how things are working. I see what I'm seeing right now on my channel, which are, you know, some promising things. I'm liking what I'm seeing. So yeah, that's where I see myself in the next 2 years. And like I said, I just think YouTube is so powerful. I have a really good support group around me right now that I've managed to kind of like, I guess, find and build. So yeah, no.
All right. And so as far as the team that you, as far as TNC, is that still competitive players? Or is that just content creators now? Or is it more of just kind of a group of guys that love Madden or love esports?
That's a focus on, so that's a focus on competitive Madden. I'm really the only main content creator in there, I would say. We have some other guys who are Twitch partners. They are partnered on Twitch, but I'm the only person who really does anything on YouTube, consistent or like really at all. I would love for them to start doing stuff on YouTube, but yeah, no, that is as of right now, that is really just a competitive Madden crew, basically.
All right. Well, I really appreciate you coming on, but before I say goodbye here for everybody out here, I wanted to just, if you had to say to someone that's never met you before and they wanted to know one thing about you that could sum you up, what would that be?
Oh, dude, one thing about me, what I tell girls is I'm spontaneous. I mean, I randomly moved to Texas on like a week's notice, and I went skydiving on like a day's notice. And
you went through a table. I forgot about that. You went through a table, did you not? On Bot Wars, just like
yeah, that was actually spontaneous too. A friend gave me that idea an hour before, so I said, okay, let me just go buy a table, and I guess let's hope I go through it.
Did it hurt?
And No, actually, no, it didn't hurt at all. I thought it would hurt a lot, and I don't know if it's because my couch is short. I don't know. It just didn't bother me at all. And so I was smart though. I was like, let me make sure I can go through it. So I bought 2 tables. I had a practice table. I was like, I don't want to look like an idiot here. So I went through the table first. I'm like before stream, and it didn't. I'm like, oh, okay, sure. And so when it was time, I just like, okay, here we go. And no, it didn't hurt at all. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe if you're on like a high staircase and you jump off like frat boy style, it hurts. But it literally didn't bother me at all. I don't know why.
You didn't think about setting it on fire or throwing some tacks on there or something like that?
No, I don't think I'm new here. I'd like to live here. I'd like to, renew my lease here. So,
hey, you're in Austin, bud. You're in Austin, bud. That kind of stuff happens here. And you're going to be like, had one of those nights, huh, bro? You had one of those nights? We get it. We've been there.
Do something like that. Do a little something. Have some fun. No, it's awesome here in Austin, though. It really is.
Cool, man. Well, again, I really appreciate you coming on the show. I'd love to have you on again sometime in the future, make the rounds with you. And, hey, maybe sometime we can join each other here in Austin, bud. But I appreciate you.
Absolutely.
And
I appreciate it, man. Appreciate having me on.
All right, buddy. Good luck to you in all your future endeavors and all your videos. And we look forward to seeing your growth, man. So thanks again, and take care, guys. Thanks for watching this episode.
Get mad, real.